Trump has won. I'd like to know, just from y'all own personal POV, what was your initial reaction and the reaction of those around you? Whether that be social media, that, like you might have a partner, you might have, friends, family that you communicate with in general. Let's not necessarily or a girlfriend or a wife. Is that better? I think that conservatives tend to not like the word partner for some reason. I think that they believe it's like a co-opted word. Let's not get there yet. We got time to get all the way down the funnel of the whys, right? But nonetheless, let's try and keep like 2 minutes on it because I know that this could be its own long-winded thing. But Trump won. What is your initial reaction and the reaction from those around you? Start with you, G.
Yeah, man. Initial reaction, I was thinking that this was going to be the outcome the majority of the time. I do feel like more recently in the past few days leading up to the election, there was a lot of media trying to suggest that Kamala had a way stronger foothold on things than what she actually did with the Iowa poll. They tried to market that and some things and say, oh, she's doing so well. She ended up losing Iowa by a pretty significant chunk. So, I always thought that the Democrats just ruined this from the start. I didn't feel like they put themselves in position to really win anything on the when Biden chose to run again for president, and that's really was downhill from there for them. And then in terms of reaction, man, I see a lot of strong reactions, man. Emotions are high. People are fearful, concerned, worried, especially women. I have to say that's where I'm hearing most of the reaction from. And look, I'm not a woman. I don't really know what how they feel about abortion in their bodies and stuff like that. Like I don't know how much that means. I don't relate to it as much, right? But that's another losing point on the Democrats. They thought abortion was going to be a number one item, ended up being like lower on people's lists, and that's what they were kind of harping on the whole time. So I see a lot of educated folks hurt, I will say, and a lot of women are hurt. And if you listen to the educated folks and the women on social media, like the world is going to be over here shortly.
Gotcha. Johnny.
I think it wasn't a surprise what happened if you was, looking and paying attention. Like me, as a true centrist, I really didn't have too much of a reaction to it. I think we just got to, keep on pushing. At the end of the day gonna end, like my girl Glow say. But I definitely seen the reactions. People around me was just somber. I've seen happy. I've seen celebrations too. Definitely at work. My boy Trey down here turned. So it's interesting. I'm in the middle. I'm still looking to see, which way we gonna go. I definitely think we still got the real work is, starting after today. But
So Johnny, I guess just to ask, you mentioned Glow. Did the Glow performance the night before the election, did that tip over the scales for you?
Nah.
FNF didn't do it for you.
Nah.
Okay. All right.
Nah, not at all.
Gotcha. Trey, talk to us.
Man, I'm probably about to pop this bottle because I'm fired up, and it's because Kamala, she's old news now. She lost, and I'm a little sad because Trump won because, like John said before, like it's really sad that he's the best, like as far as like his policies on and who was on the ticket. And we had to really vote for him to avoid a lot of these policies that Kamala was bringing forward. So it's sad we had to do that. So I don't want my
and so by you saying we, is that an omission that's who you chose over the in this selection?
No, man, I'm not gonna lie. I looked at that ballot. I came in late. I was barely made it in time. They were probably ready for me to go, but I looked at that vote for like at least a good minute and a half because I wanted to push Trump, but I just couldn't do it, man. I had to. I voted brother Dr. Cornel West, president.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
Kind of threw away my vote, but he was the only black person on the ticket, or especially FBA on the ticket. So I feel like we can hold him accountable. I saw him speak at USC when I was there, and he's in favor of reparations. So, and then I don't want to reward bad behavior because I don't like the people that are around Trump, but I don't like the people that are around Kamala either. So that was kind of a wash. But the main thing is just showing up and being a black person that did not vote against a Democrat, because the main goal of this election was to train the Democrats that they cannot take us for granted. Like, you can't sit on the couch and say, I'm not going to do anything that's only going to help black people. No. And then expect us to just get together and line up and then carry her. Because black people, if we had that same energy we had for Obama, I think we could have swung some of these swing states for her. But a lot of us just didn't show up. So, that was my main goal in the election. That's why I'm excited, because we're kind of getting off of this, this treadmill, going nowhere, where we don't ask for anything for our vote, and then we just train them. We train them for generation after generation that they don't have to give us anything. So this time in election, I'm so excited because it may take them one more election, but once we make a new policy where you have to give us something or else you can't depend on our vote, you can't shame us, you can't call us misogynist, none of that stuff, then that's in the right direction. So,
got you. Hey, Black, talk to us.
Yeah,
I heard somebody might have took a day off just to troll him. I don't know. I heard that through the grapevine. It might not be true. I don't know. Talk to us. Man.
I already knew going into the workplace there's gonna be a lot of sad people, a lot of the same stuff. Also, I didn't really want to be around that because I'm not as empathetic as I feel like a lot of people need. And I just well, let me just take a day off too, so I don't be insensitive towards you. But my reaction was I wasn't surprised. I told niggas, we live in this microwave trendy culture where people just pay attention for a short amount of time. But if you've been paying attention throughout this whole process, a lot of people are not really surprised. This thing been lost from the jump. You can't say this dude is an attack on democracy and you don't give people the chance to choose their Democratic nominee. And we've been telling you, the nigga was old for almost 2 years, and to get Biden and to find a new replacement. And all of them got in line and was talking about his health is cool, he's sharp, he's wit, and then boom, that shit deteriorated so fast they had to pivot. But the first red flag was installing her, and you didn't give people the choice. That turned off people. And then you get her in there, and this comes to zero focus on Black men, Latinos, white women, and white men are still the biggest voting bloc. So when you out here parading Megans and Glorillas, what do you think you're doing to white women's security level? They thinking, is this the country's going to become the fucking BET Awards? And so the surprise.
Hey, Black. I think you about to empty the whole clip. I want you to save some of it. Just save some of it. You emptying the clip though. I listen. G said that you was going to try and go for 50. I can see it already. All right. So it sounds like, generally speaking, you also were saying that the social media impact as well that you're seeing around you. You wasn't as empathetic, and it was kind of sad.
Yeah, the social media thing, because I think it was a lot of surprise because the support is loud on social media. But as you see, the other side had a lot of support too. But when you're being bullied, when you're being chastised for your opinion, you stay quiet. So everyone's like, who voted for him? Lots of people. But they didn't feel safe enough to dialogue with y'all. So they get quiet, and they went and decided their vote while everybody was rah-rah online. But that's a small portion of people online, bullshit. And so I think they got kind of caught in that social media hype of her winning the social media wars in their circles and their algorithms. But the world is much broader and bigger, and a lot of people wasn't fucking with a lot of the things that was happening, So, I mean, and then with the women, you got women who didn't vote. A lot of women, they voted. The ones that did voted overwhelmingly for her, of course, like they always do. But, so they're sad, understandably. But it's a lot of women who still quiet about it, but they're just being saying, hey, I told you so, or, I didn't vote because I didn't like her, or I didn't vote for her. So, but they don't still feel safe to
So let me ask you this. and then I'm gonna play this meme. So did you get that from any of your Howard alumni, ladies? Some of those DMs, it's like, I ain't really feel it.
Yeah, I mean, like I
That's
said,
interesting.
they're not loud about their criticism, or
Gotcha.
but they're there, like they not monolithic. So it's like, I don't fuck with bro either. I don't fuck with her either, and they got reasons too. It's like I said, the supporters are really loud to the point where it kind of clouded people to think like, oh, she might really got this, but no.
Gotcha. So as we're speaking about social media, the social media outrage, I'm gonna push play on this, and then we can kind of like start guiding the conversation.
Yo, I'm scared to go to sleep. I might wake up a motherfucking slave.
Guess I'll ask this question. You did if you just had a black Facebook, you probably started and you woke up to a lot of something that might not have been in video form, but I've seen a lot of posts that echo very similar sentiments. So let me ask y'all right. Let me ask y'all this: did we put the stakes too high inside this? And will this be the last vote or die election?
I mean, I think obviously on both sides, I think that was part of the divisiveness that they used was if this doesn't happen, the country's over, the fascists, and I think that was part of the sale on both sides. And I think black people again fell for it. And like I said, there's always another side, and there's always the next day. And I don't think we can get too caught up because we had 45. This is just 47.
Got it.
I don't know how you can say the stakes are too high when Kamala's agenda was so destructive. That's the main reason I'm excited, because she had no plans of slowing the flow of migrants through the border, none at all. She was gonna.
So I guess Trey, to kind of direct you towards where I'm speaking by saying the stakes is too high. I think that you've heard multiple times he is a direct threat to democracy. He is a fascist leader. He's going to turn America into a dictatorship. It's he if he gets elected, they're going to bring back slavery. That they're going to outlaw federal abortion. These big sweeping things that kind of went through the realms of hearsay and rhetoric. That if you turned on almost any black platform, they made it seem as though if he was elected, it's going to turn to 1700s again, almost immediately. And that's what I mean by are we putting the stakes too high with just individual presidential elections, even at that? That's more so what I mean.
Yeah. So you're talking more about the fear mongering, not so much the actual policies, the ramifications of the policies, not just putting when they put a little extra on some things he said.
Yes, there's a difference between saying I don't like that immigration policy and he's going to be or he or she's going to be a dictator, or they're not going to, they're going to start another riot for the if they lose the election, it's going to be a bloodbath, and that person is doing Hitler style rallies. There we go, rallies.
I don't know what you're saying.
But yeah, so more so, that's what I'm saying. The big letdown leads to a woman online saying, I don't want to go to sleep because I don't want to be a slave.
I got you. Now I understand.
Yeah.
So I think in that regards, this was good because I'm kind of disappointed that so many people believe that, even though we have a constitution, even though we have all these other things, even though we survived way worse, even though we've seen them in office 4 years already, they believe that they must vote for Kamala regardless of policy, just because they thought that Trump was going to bring back slavery. So this is, with him back in power again, this is an opportunity for people to, I hope they remember what they really said would happen. So when it doesn't happen, they recognize that these politicians will lie and try to get you emotionally wild up, because they really that's how they deal with black people. They try to appeal to our emotions. They try to bring in entertainers and shame us, like ancestors shame us into voting for one one party without considering the policy. So we become like this, like political, like plantation property. So and then they use that through. It's almost like, oh, you don't want to leave Massa Biden's plantation because down in Massa Trump plantation, they'll do you way worse. And that type of mentality where it's the same, tactic that they've always been using. So this election is that's another reason why I'm like popping balls and so excited is because we're seeing more people, especially I guess the youth, not fall for that. Like G said, educated and women. I'll say also like elderly and LGBTQ, and maybe like the black immigrant class. But other than that, I didn't really see too many like young straight black American men who weren't involved in any Greek organization. I didn't see one person in that group that was pro Kamala.
Not seen enough of them for sure. There was yeah. Nah, Facebook's is a panda fest right now for sure.
But you can't tell like a black immigrant, like you've already said that, so
all right.
You don't know.
I'm not about to get into the back and forth with you. Yeah, it's all right.
Just to be fair.
Okay, hey, we'll just go with that one. I know a bunch of black immigrants. Who has not went? Hey, Black, talk to us. Did we as a people put the stakes too high in this election to where we end up with letdowns, like crying on Facebook that slavery's coming back and I don't want to go to sleep?
Yeah, man. The Fear Olympics were extreme, and to the point where it becomes a joke because then you can't be this country, this America, the strong, we can beat anybody type, and then at the same time be a country grounded in fear, like, oh my God, what's going to happen? We're going to lose. Like, which one is it? Are you strong? Are you not? So it's like, why are people crying? This is America. Like, what is? And then they're like, all right, we're gonna go back in slavery. A lot of the fear mongering they using is regurgitated from the last time he ran and he won. He ran and he won. Your ass ain't become no slave. I've been outside today. I was in a restaurant surrounded by white people. They wasn't thinking about me. They wasn't trying to string you up. So yeah, all right, policies and all of that. People don't really care about that stuff. All this shit came down to is who you like and who you don't like, and who can tap into your emotions. Because at the end of the day, you ain't got no control for real over the policy. So it's a popularity contest, and they lost it. But yeah, like all this, you gonna be a slave. I'm sorry, chick crying. You probably already a slave in a way. A lot of niggas already slaves. So like, wake up. You've been a slave. You a slave to believe in this system is gonna do something for you. Like people every 4 years.
So let me ask you, so is this going to be the last vote or die election?
Man, as long as it's gonna be sheep, it's gonna be repeated. And sadly, in 4 years, it's gonna be on the same shit. This is the election of your lifetime. This gonna change everything. This is for your kids. You don't care about your daughters. Blah blah blah. Like, man, y'all got the same rhetoric. That's why Democrats lost, because they got the same marketing for it. And it was worse. It's an insult to talking about women's rights and then parade whores. I say whores because that's what they all call themselves, except for Beyonce. I won't call her that. But you got Megan Thee Stallion twerking. You got Cardi B up there. Like, these are low character people, and then you want them to represent good qualities and shit. And people see through that. Like, that's not the best of us. Those are entertainers. They cool to turn up to. But you want to inspire and galvanize, put the best of us in front of us. This becomes an insult, because why the fuck are we listening to Glorilla when it's fucking kids dying in Gaza and our money going to Ukraine and it's real shit? Like, so people are looking at this and it's like, all right, what are we celebrating? We ain't won an election. Bring Glorilla at inauguration when you win. Like, and then you vice president now, do some shit now and take this shit. Like, I'm vice president now. this is what I'm about to do now. I raised $80 million. I took this money and I give women today. Like, she has so much opportunity now as vice president to show you this is what I can do. And then she 2 weeks ago, black men, that's what I'm gonna do for y'all. $25,000 and then you realize it was for everybody. Every man could benefit from this shit. They just put black men in it for marketing. They're like, bro, who's running her account?
Hey, but listen, so now I know A Black. Every time you going, it's machine gun fire for sure. Let me give G a little breath in here real quick.
Man, I'm gonna be short and sweet so we can keep it moving, because I mean, look, I think we all on the same page in terms of the fear mongering, like them making this like, oh, if Trump wins, it's going to be the worst thing for the history of the country, et cetera, et cetera. Look, man, I'm just not fearful in that same way. I do believe in checks and balances that we have. I also believe that, Trump said he was going to build a wall. Now he's saying he's going to deport all these immigrants. I don't think it's going to happen. So it's like, I think he's just saying things similar to what he did on the first go around that sound good. And the Democrats, man, this is part of their issue, is that they made this so much about like how bad he was again versus trying to put forth something that was actually for the people. They just wanted us to vote against Trump versus vote for what they were offering. And that fear game made, I think, too many people, they bought into that narrative, and that's why they're feeling how they're feeling today. When in reality, as North Carolinians, like we all went to vote, but the more important vote was probably for governor to our day-to-day livelihood than it was for President Trump. You feel what I'm saying? So
right. So especially if you're a woman worrying about abortion rights and things like that.
Exactly.
Yeah, but I guess as we kind of segue, I would also say yes. I think that it has become way too hyperbolic. I hope that this is the last vote or die type of thing. But I also think that it is cause for critique of how we respond, even on social media. And like everybody probably has seen the whole, if you voted for Trump, I'm blocking you out and just unfriended XYZ amount of people. And I think what ends up happening is that we miss out on actually hearing about what people's grievances and issues are because of we just play the witch hunt and demonizing game. But I guess before we get off of Trump in general, I got two more questions. I guess we'll first start off with this one. Hypothetically, or what your real belief is, what's the most dangerous thing about a Trump presidency to you?
I'll start.
You can go.
I would say the most dangerous thing is the fact we already had January 6th. Mm-hmm. He has a very clear fan base that has only grown since then, and they've already demonstrated the lengths that they're willing to go to. And Trump is definitely like he'll blow the dog whistle, if you will, to activate his people. And I would say the most kind of telling thing about him as a professional politician is that, like, if you look at his 4 years, all of his executives, the cabinet, like over half of them niggas do not fuck with him and would not endorse him the second time around. That's not normal in the world of politics. That is a glaring sort of like, why don't this nigga's own people back him the second time around? And it's not like one or two. It's arguably half, if not the majority. So yeah, I think Trump is definitely doing this for very selfish reasons, and I do think he is like after a sort of absolute power, but Do I think he'll achieve that? No, I don't. I'm not fearful that is actually going to happen, but I'm curious as to what his supporters will do in the name of who he is and what he claims to be.
Johnny.
That's exactly where I was going. I just sent a meme into the chat, but it was Trump as a match, and it was a bunch of bombs watching him give a speech, and I believe that's the most to me that would be the most dangerous thing. Was what people who aren't support him would do. To me, that's the scariest thing. I'm not necessarily scared of him, but I think he does have crazy supporters because he himself is a little bit crazy. So that's what scares me the most.
Gotcha. A Black.
During this process, man, I feel like both sides are just as crazy. Like the way Democrats have been attacking, the vitriol, their character, like it's no different. All they've shown is like, how are y'all different from MAGA people? Like I've seen more hate from the blue side this election. And I wanted to comment on one of the comments in the chat from my last thing about Kamala being vice president and doing something now. And then they always respond like, oh, vice president can't do this and they can't do that. Or the Democrats can't do this because it's like always they're powerless. Why are we so hyped she vice president if she vice president and she can't do nothing as vice president? Like, or why are we voting Democrats in if when they get in, their only excuse is, oh, Republicans blocked it. Then y'all are fucking powerless. We just don't even need to vote for y'all at all because when they get in, they get shit done. Maybe the Democrats are secret Republicans or something. But I wanted to comment on that because it's always excuses for Democrat political people when they can't get something done. But when it's a Republican, they put all the blame on them. When they do shit right or wrong, it's all on them. But Kamala can't do nothing as VP because, oh, she over the Senate or she don't really have power, blah, blah, blah. And what do we hype about? What is she just a symbolic position? Are you going to really tell me the vice president can't do shit?
Got it. Trey, landed.
Well, I'll just to respond to, I guess, John, I think the establishment doesn't like Trump because he's non-establishment more so than like their character is better than his. Like, I think Trump is probably more patriotic than like a Mitch McConnell, who's definitely just there to line his pockets. Because even Trump's rhetoric is consistently like pro-America. So like my biggest fear is potential fear of what could happen with Trump is, one, he has a lot of overly zealous his base, and a lot of them are suspected white supremacist type, to where they could, but at the same time that he's been in office before, so that it's just hard for me to really take that seriously because of there's nothing like experience to make you to give you like reassurance. And I think both sides have crazy supporters, like A Black was saying, but I would say the left is even crazier and more authoritarian because it's the left that's talking about shutting down podcasts like this that they deem as misinformation and making forced vaccines and stuff like that.
And I'm not cutting you off. I guess I did want to redirect, and I might be redirecting back to A Black as well, because I can't remember if you answered it. I know right now you're airing grievances off on the left. Mm-hmm. To you, or is this like a notation that you don't really see anything dangerous about, or possibly dangerous about, an upcoming Trump presidency? I'll start back with you, Trey, and then go to A Black. Is there a thing, or is it? We kind of politics as usual.
I think we've avoided danger because there were no new wars under Trump. Trump, again, he wasn't forcing vaccines. He wasn't trying to have a ministry of misinformation. The authoritarian things that they try to put on Trump.
But can you not answer the question like Kamala? Like, can you answer the question, then give the explanation?
The question was, is there anything to fear?
What's the most dangerous thing about a Trump presidency? That's the question.
Well, anything I can think of the most dangerous is less dangerous than Kamala. But if I had to say the most dangerous thing, I would say his base. But I'm not really concerned about them, or if they try to they've been trying to assassinate him so many times. If they're successful with that, then that could be some type of that could lead to some like domestic turmoil and things like that. But I'm not really Trump doesn't scare me at all.
A Black.
Yeah, same. I'm not personally really scared. Like maybe his views on Muslims, Islam, any bans that come along with that. But America been anti-Muslim, anti-Islamic for the most part anyway. So I don't know. Like I'm not in fear, so it's hard for me to even really answer what's dangerous because I can't see. Like we go see, but I mean, as a black man, I go do what I've been doing and decide my own destiny. But I don't really know. I can't see nothing real dangerous. Like I know he talked a lot of shit. Like most candidates do to rile up their base, but most candidates can't get shit passed for real when they get in there. They just do shit to rile their base up to get elected, and then they get back to the money.
Gotcha. I guess if I was to attempt to answer it, it'll probably be maybe one or two things. I think that there is an interesting, the relationship of Elon and Trump is really interesting to me, especially with over the next 4 years, the innovation in automation and AI and what that could mean for the job market and how Elon could be making sure that he places himself in a spot where regulation is not that important. And as we know, with him going over to Twitter, then renaming it X, he has no problem with laying off people. And I think that that relationship and how he tried to make sure that he kind of got really chummy with him, I think that could be just something to pay attention to. I guess for me, that'd probably be the main thing. Where that's one of those things that, and being inside the software field or just web design field in general, it's just something that I pay attention to. But I will go to the next question. What do you see changing over the next 4 years? Net negative, net positive, these next 4 years over Trump. Do you see it as a net negative, net positive, and what do you see changing?
Wait, is Trump a net positive, you say?
No, I'm asking y'all, do you think that he what do you see changing over the next 4 years? And do you see it as a net negative or a net positive?
I'm gonna be honest, the state of where we are today is in such a unique valley that everything's cyclical. It goes up and it goes down. Where we are right now, they've been talking about a recession for 2 years now, but yet we never hit one, right? So it's we've been flirting with these recessions, depressions. Economists will argue we never hit one. There are economists that will argue that. So it's not a clear-cut thing.
Oh no,
right?
I get it. I guess I'm saying I only do that only because there's economists that also argue that we did, but that the government kind of did. But nonetheless, it's not a consensus. Yes,
it's not a consensus. But the consensus is we did hit all-time high inflation rates at one point recently. The current market rates are as high as they've been in our recent, especially our time as adults. We graduated around the 2009 crisis when rates hit zero for the first time. So it's what we know as normal interest rates from the Federal Reserve is a unicorn time period in retrospect. We're not going to see most likely those low interest rates anytime soon again. I don't think we're going to go back to the 80s where you have close to double digit interest rates in the Federal Reserve, but it's going to go back down moving forward. So I think just given where we are as it relates to the perception of the border, as it relates to the perception of our economy, these things will only improve over the next 4 years due to the cyclical nature of how things work. And that's why I'm not as concerned.
Got you. Who else? Johnny?
Yeah,
Talk to us.
I think like G was saying, I think like the economy and thing, it's a almost a self-correcting thing. Um,
So
with
do you
some,
see? And I guess you didn't answer it either. Net negative, net positive, but it sound you kind of
I
answered it in that. But I'll restate it just to make sure that the questions refresh in your mind. What do you see changing over the next 4 years, and do you see it as a net negative or net positive?
I definitely like 4 years. I think the economy is going to be back to pre-COVID, levels. I think, or at least I'm hoping. Uh, I think black people under Trump. I think a challenge always brings black people closer together. So I think us having like a common, a perceived common enemy, I think that'd definitely be um, a welcome for black people. I think we would get, come together with more unity. I think it'll only force us to rely on each other and kind of fix the union in our community.
Gotcha. So net negative, net positive. What do you land
Net
at?
positive. I
Okay.
think it'll be a good thing.
Okay. Trey, I'll
Man,
re-ask the question. What do you see changing over the next 4 years, and do you see it as a net negative or a net positive?
thanks for all over you re-ask the question. So I think it would be definitely be a net positive, especially when we weigh in like the direction we were going, because we have to, you know, we're gonna improve, and then comparing to where like the decline that we were on, like man, we seriously dodged a bullet here because like the Democrats are really trying to convince American people like to turn a blind eye to this migrant crisis, which Trump is has a like whether we believe he will or will not do what he says he's going to do, at least he says he will, and he's very vocal about making that happen. He's even said some specific um, strategies he would go about accomplishing that. So I think that alone will be very good for our nation. And also how I think he's a much better negotiator. He always brings up how Kamala, when she went to Ukraine to negotiate, they immediately started fighting as soon as she left. Versus when Trump was in office, he was dragging out with Zelensky, trying to get them to infect investigate Hunter Biden, and then we later found out that the Hunter laptop was real, even though during the last election they said it was fake. So that's another example of the media lying. So I think Trump, he's also trying to pull out of NATO, and a lot of this thing that's happening in Ukraine is because of NATO's aggression by pushing up to Russia. So I think it'll be Trump is more likely to bring about like peace as far as our involvement, like globally. Like look at everything. As soon as the Democrats got in office, it's wars everywhere. So between the economy and between global conflicts, just that alone, I think Trump will be a net positive by far.
Okay, gotcha. Hey, Black, what do you see changing over the next 4 years? And will it be a net negative or net positive?
Similar responses. I feel like it'll be more of a net positive on the international side. I don't think we're going to be giving much more money out to Ukraine, to maybe Israel, but I don't think they'll get as much as they've been getting, like large lump sums. So I don't know how that's going to affect things of Russia when they're not arming Ukraine no more. I think economy-wise, it would be a net positive. I don't really know how the elections and this correlates with the stock market, but all our reports I've been seeing is things have been up. Like people in that sector are celebrating. Apparently, Trump is good for the stock market. So, things have been up on that end. So I think eventually that will trickle down to our economy. And I feel like he'll start putting the money back into us versus like kind of sending it out foreign wise. But I really don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Too soon to tell. But I can't really say positive or negative, but I guess positive. I'm a more positive person, so I'm gonna be good. We gonna be good.
Gotcha. Yeah, I guess I don't know. I know that The other thing that I would have said that could be dangerous about like the Trump economy would be the 20% plus on tariffs and how that actually can impact inflation and our economy in general. In which, yeah, just the way tariffs work, and then bringing back American jobs of like basic manufacturing back to America, and what that also could mean to the economy. I don't know, like as I see his plan right now, it's hard to see where it specifically will be like a really positive. I'm not necessarily going to go on the ledge and say that it'll be negative right now. I'm probably going. If I had to, if I didn't take the fence sitting approach, I'd probably say net negative, but not inside like the biggest margin. Just because I think that the tariffs is going to be such an interesting, tricky thing. And depending on how he wants to levy his power, it could kind of get out of hand. But we have a decent amount into the chat. I'd like to say first, we are streaming on 2 different platforms, the G-ish podcast and the To Be Fair show. Super chat, super thanks are available. Again, as y'all see, more times than not, yeah, I think our panelists have it. They have their cash apps inside their profiles. If you agree with a panelist, show them some love. Hit a cash app. And I guess now is probably a good time to segue. We've talked a little bit about kind of Trump winning, the fear mongering. Should we be scared? Are we overreacting in general? I guess I would like to start segueing our conversation over to a little bit of the Kamala side of the conversation.